What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ review, and I'm here to give you my review of Star Trek Picard season 1, episode 3. Star Trek Picard season 1, episode 3. But before I do that, I want to thank you for being here at my YouTube channel. The LQ review is where we talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that I love to talk about, including comic books and movies and video games and just everything that is nerdy we love to talk about. So thank you for being here and joining me for this. Let's talk about Star Trek Picard episode 3. You'll remember I really liked episode 1 a lot. I loved episode 1. Episode 2 was good, but it was a definite significant step down from episode 1. Had a lot of Star Trek jargon in it, a lot of Star Trek gobbledygook, a lot of setup. Just setting up, introducing new characters, setting up the situations that they're in. And I gotta tell you, episode 3 felt a lot like episode 2 in that sense. There was still a lot of the Star Trek jargon, the Star Trek technical talk. Still had a lot of setup. All right, we're at 3 episodes in, and now, finally, in the last seconds of this episode, Picard is finally in space. Took 3 hours. Took 3 hours for Picard to get back in space. And to me, that just seems like a little bit too long. Now, I understand they're setting up a lot for the future of the season. I understand that they're giving a lot of backstory. There's 20 years of backstory that they have to fill in the gaps on. And there's also a lot of new characters that they have to introduce. But for whatever reason, it just felt like this was a little bit long to get him back in the captain's chair. But I gotta tell you, those last few moments of this episode were marvelous. Seeing him in the captain's chair and having his new crew waiting for him to give the orders, and when he finally says, engage. And you hear the Star Trek The Next Generation theme music swell up, I got goosebumps. I'm not afraid to admit it. I got goosebumps, and I'm like, even though the episode wasn't as good as episode 1 for me, it still made me buy completely into what they're doing here. Nostalgia is a powerful thing, guys. Nostalgia is a powerful thing, and that's exactly what it did for me. I'm like, all right, we're in space. Let's do this. Episode 4, let's go. So yeah, I really, really dug that aspect of this episode, and I'm still really digging this series, even though episode 2 and 3 have been a little slow for me. Star Trek has always done that, though, right? There's always been components of Star Trek that has had the jargon, the technical talk, like I call it the Star Trek gobbledygook, but it's always had that component. It just, usually in a movie, we get 20 minutes of that, and then an hour and a half of good stuff, and in this we got 3 hours of it. So yeah, this was a fine episode, though. He finally got his team put together, that's going to go out into space in search of Daj's sister, and I think we're going to be into something special. This episode did do something special, by the way. It reintroduced Hugh. Now, you'll remember Hugh from Star Trek The Next Generation. He was a Borg that Starfleet came across, that the Enterprise came across, Enterprise D. They came across, and they actually took him out of the collective. They de-assimilated him, and they gave him the autonomy, right? They gave him individuality again. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think they did de-assimilate him, did they? No, because he came back later and he was still Borg. I need to go back and rewatch The Next Generation, guys. It's been a while. But yeah, they reintroduced Hugh, and Hugh was a primary figure in the Enterprise D's conflict with the Borg post Best of Both Worlds. And he's a fascinating character in the sense that he's trying to find individuality after being part of the collective. And now he's overseeing the de-assimilation of the Romulan species aboard this Borg cube. And Daj's sister is part of that de-assimilation process. We're learning more about kind of what the Romulans' motive is. It seems now this hasn't been fully explained yet, but it seems like the Romulans have been staging, um, that the Romulans staged the destruction at Mars, that they're responsible for the destruction at Mars because they are bigoted against android life forms. So that they are responsible for those androids going out of control because they are bigoted against the androids, and they wanted to have reason for banning artificial life. They haven't confirmed that yet, but that's definitely the way I think we're leaning. That's kind of what we're looking at. But like I said, overall, it's been a very strong 3 episodes. It's just been a little bit slow. Now that we're in space, it needs to pick up some. It needs to pick up some and give us some more meat to chew on. Because right now, there's all these threads dangling out there. The Romulan secret organization, how they've infiltrated Starfleet, how they're trying to assassinate Data's daughters. The Starfleet. Ex-Starfleet people that Picard has as part of his crew. There's so many. What are they doing on the Borg cube? What is Data's daughter doing on the Borg cube? There's so many different threads out there, and they're all loose. They're all just hanging there. So it's time for us to start connecting those threads and start telling a more complete and interwoven story. And I think they're going to start doing that now that we're finally out in space. But guys, like I said, those last few seconds were wonderful. Just wonderful. And this, like I said, has been a strong start. Let's see where it goes from here. I can't wait. So let me know what you thought of episode 3. Did you think that it was still a little too technical and still a little bit slow? Or did you love it? Were you eating it up? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your take on it. And again, thank you for being here at the LQ Review, where we get to talk about all the geeky and all the nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.